Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the National Community Action Partnership today for our Practice Transformation Resource Tour. We have curated resources for you to use in your agency to aid you in supporting the families that you serve and your communities. So today we are going to present, it will be myself, I'm Lily Seals, the Director of Practice Transformation, and my colleague, Amy Roberts, who is our Program Associate with the Practice Transformation team. We would love for you to use the chat to let us know who has joined us today. So if you could enter your name, your agency, what state you're from, and we'd also love to know what partnership resources that you have used the most or that you have found, the most helpful in your work. So we would love to hear from you on that. And we generally start our presentations, but our work with the Community Action Promise. So I hope that you will join me in reciting: community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community and are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. The mission of the partnership is to ensure the causes and conditions of poverty are effectively addressed and to strengthen, promote, represent, and serve the Community Action Network. In support of our mission, the partnership's training and technical assistance team supports agencies in bringing their best selves to their customers and to their communities to achieve maximum impact. We believe that because poverty is complex and always changing, it also implies that our approaches and practices that our agencies engage in are also always changing or evolving to meet those needs. So the partnership has the opportunity to facilitate several initiatives that are tied to the practice transformation focus. We're now going to go into an overview of the Learning Community Resource Center. The Learning Community Resource Center is the mothership of our initiatives. It is funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Administration for Children and Families, Office of Community Services. It is the learning hub within the CSBG network to support the identification, adaptation, and implementation of innovative and evidence-informed services and strategies to improve results based on individual family, community, and individual level outcomes for the CSBG network. So how do we do this? We could go to the next slide. We do this through peer-centered learning, community groups, and communities of practice, focused on evidence-based and evidence-informed practices that work, curriculum design aimed at shifting organizational mindsets and transform anti-poverty practice. We have subject matter experts in their organizations who are leaders in the human services sector. Development, curation, dissemination of resources informed by the learning experimentation in respective learning cohorts are also important, and we're going to learn about some of those resources today. All right. As stated earlier, when we talk about poverty, it is complex. It's always evolving. And agencies have had to shift their approach to serve families in the most impactful way within our current environment. So the next two resources that we're going to explore, this pivot that agencies have had to make. So our first resource, the COVID-19 Resource Series. This series highlights resources and best practices that local community action agencies can engage in to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Topics include racial equity, trauma, resiliency, technology, and partnerships. As we move on to racial equity, for the past 4 years, the LCRC, Learning Community Resource Team, has intentionally embedded racial equity into all of its focus areas, and we can serve as an advisor on recommendations for advancing equity on all levels of CSBG implementation. A lot of what we do is we bake in equity, right? So it's not something that's necessarily separate, but we look at it through all of our processes. We also have it on our main stage presenters at national conferences. And an also very recent event, we've had our partnership, poverty, race, and listening sessions. And for those who may have attended MLTC, we had a report out. We also had a report out in February. And we will have a link to the report out and that information for you as well. So we've talked about COVID-19 and we've talked about racial equity, and we have all of these resources. So where do you go to find it? So right now we're going to transition over to the Community Action Partner website, which is communityactionpartnership.com. And we're going to do a walkthrough of where you can find this information. All right. So we are going to start with the COVID-19 Resource Series. If when you look, you'll see the slider. It's the third slider. You can click on that. And we'll scroll down and you'll see all of our different resources. As we talked about equity, trauma-informed agency response, you will see leveraging partnerships. So we have a lot of different COVID-19 series briefs that agencies can use in their response around any issues related to the pandemic, because we certainly have gone through a lot. And if we scroll back up, we have another resource. We have a whole list of COVID-19 resources, and you could go to that top of the page and you click here and you see, again, guidance and resources for managing coronavirus risks. You see a statement from the partnership, the first 90 days. Can you all believe it's been a year? It has been a year since everything has kind of everything shut down with COVID. So we have the first 90 days report, we have guidance and resources, we have information again from our national partner resources, we have information on trauma-informed care, we have information on racial equity, all of this that relates to COVID-19. Another way that you can access information for COVID-19, because we looked at the scroller, and that is certainly one way to do it. But we also know that scrollers can change. So if you just kind of go to the top, go to tools and resources, and just kind of hover, you'll see it'll come back. Managing coronavirus risks, and that will get you back to that page as well. So now we're going to look at our Black Lives Matter page, and that, if we're going to look back at that scroller, is that fourth bullet right now. And you'll see where we have taking action. We have a statement that was released by the partnership that talks about COVID-19 being a health pandemic, but also as racism being a social pandemic, right? So we have that information. We have where the partnership affirms its core values. And as we scroll down, we have video resources as well. So community action, conversation, and response to racism and COVID-19. And at the very bottom, we also have graphics. Often we can often overlook things like that, but we also have graphics that you all can use. All right, well, we're going to transition back to the presentation slides. And we're going to talk about another one of our initiatives, whole family approach. So whole family approach is another important initiative of our work. It is actually a spinoff of the work that we have done with the Learning Community Resource Center. Whole family approach is important to help the well-being of children and families. Whole family approach efforts began with the Obama administration Rural Impact Initiative, which has been replicated and we've brought to scale through support by 7 states and 3 private foundations. So each of our cohorts, which our next slide will show our current cohorts, but each of them have received enhanced capacity, including local subgrants, stipends that agencies can use to hire staff, develop data systems, engage customer barrier removal, and provide stipends to customers for their expertise. As we look at our current cohorts, you will see our Virginia community of practice and our regional whole family approach community of practice. We also have a new initiative, transforming leadership in local human ecosystems, human services ecosystems. We also call it the Impact Community of Practice, and that is funded by Kresge. This is 6 multi-level teams who will identify a local issue and create solutions around that. This work will be centered in equity and customer voice and may use such innovations as whole family approach, collective impact, and other innovations during the process. The really neat thing about the Impact COP is we are bringing our customers to the table. And we're really excited about that. So they will sit at the table with our community action agency staff, and other human service partners. Okay, we're going to talk about some of our whole family approach resources. Our first are our design briefs. So we have several agencies that have gone through the journey of shifting their approach to whole family approach. And these design briefs really highlight examples of those agencies where they have put concepts into practice that build family well-being and social and economic mobility by working with children and their parents together. And we're getting ready to do we'll shift to the website to show you where that is so you can see that again in real time. Our next resource, our next whole family approach resource is the Whole Family Approach Institute. We conducted an institute, it was a virtual institute, and it was a peer learning event centered in whole family approach concepts, equity, and trauma-informed approaches. So we have featured presentations and other resources. Again, and right now we're getting ready to shift to the website. And this time we're going to use the search function to find our whole family approach resources. So when you click on the little magnifying glass, as I call it, and if you type in whole family, you will see a few things that will pop up. And what you will see, so the whole family convene, which if you'll click on that, this will take you to the Whole Family Approach Institute page. So you will see all of our resources here, all of our presentations, all of our handouts. We also have videos. You will see the bios of our presenters, and you will see that we also have whole family approach graphics. So there's a wealth of resources that we have here for the Whole Family Approach Institute. Again, you all can use all these wonderful graphics. So don't forget about that. All right, and we're going to go back to the search function because we're going to look at the whole family approach design briefs, and that actually comes up first. And just to note before I go into any further detail, we have several agencies here, but this will grow. So please stay tuned to this page because we have other agencies that will also create briefs, and you will be able to see their journey. If we could click on Community Action Inc., so we can show you all an example of a brief. And when we say highlight, this is a true highlight. So we have a brief description, and if you click here to download the full brief, so you'll see where it says about the agency, area demographics, and then you will see, you know, a profile, right? Theory of change, target population. We can scroll down a little bit. Key components of their whole family approach program profile, their innovation story. The second page, in all briefs of 2 pages, also talk about their successes, and not just their successes, but their challenges, and any wisdom. Engaging family voices, customer voices is also very important, right? So you understand in this whole family approach that how they're engaging family voices. There's also a timeline. So for organizations that are interested in learning, about whole family approach or thinking about making that transition, this is a great tool to say this agency may look similar to my agency in terms of size, in terms of staff, in terms of programs or services. So this is a great tool just to kind of look at, to reference. Okay. And we will transition back to the presentation. And I will now hand over, to Amy to talk about Community Action Academy.
All right, thank you, Lily. So now that we've walked through some of those web pages and some of those resources, we wanted to also go through our Community Action Academy resource, which houses more resources related to equity, whole family approach, and much more. As you can see, some of the topics include Roma, health intersections, an overview to fiscal oversight. So we wanted to make sure that you were up to date on new resources and also resources that we've created throughout the past few years. So some of you may already be familiar and some of you may be new to this, but one of our new courses, also Family-Centered Coaching, Advancing Family-Centered Coaching 201. So I will go through a brief walkthrough so you all can see that as well. So here you can see the Community Action Academy login page. And as you can see at the top here, it is moodle.communityactionpartnership.com. So this is where you will log into the site. And if it is your first time, this is where you can also create a new account. When you click on create a new account, you'll see an option to put in your new username, password, an email address, your organization. So I will go ahead and log in. So this is what you will see when you create a course and create an account in Community Action Academy. So as you can see here on the left side, I have my homepage, my dashboard, a calendar of upcoming events or reminders for assignments. And then here I see my own courses that I'm enrolled in. And then here in the middle, you'll see a section called Site News. So this is something good to subscribe to so you can see posts from our staff about upcoming events or things to apply for. and you can click, there's a button that says subscribe to this forum. Over here on the right, we have courses. So these are the courses that I've enrolled in myself, and I will also walk through that process. So if you click on all courses, here are the course categories. So for example, under the learning community, we have open learning community groups and closed community groups, and then some topical courses, resource guides for trauma-informed care, racial equity, and here's where we have our family-centered coaching courses. So the introduction to family-centered coaching and then the advancing family-centered coaching. And we will be having a webinar next week that goes into the advancing family-centered coaching in more detail. So stay tuned for that. So as an example of a course that you can enroll in, under community level change, if I click on the phases of collective impact, I can go ahead and enroll. And now when I go back to my homepage, I can see all the courses that I am enrolled in. And so I know that was a lot and that was a pretty quick walkthrough, but we're here to answer any questions and would be happy to help get anyone up to speed with those resources. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Lily.
Thank you, Amy. Well, we have gone over a lot of information, a lot of our resources, and we have shown you where to go on our website to access the information, certainly with our sliders, using the search function. And we also came up with, we have a video, a wonderful video that will kind of summarize all of the information that we have. We're also going to put a link to the video in the chat. So it's only a few minutes, so I hope that you all will enjoy. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Again, we did place the link for the video in the chat. And now we would love to hear from you. We're getting ready to start a poll that will, where we want to know, with everything that you've learned today, we would like to know, what resource did you learn about today that you think will be the most helpful?
Hello everyone, a slight change of plans. Instead of a poll, we'll have you enter this into the chat.
So if you can, what resource did you learn about today that would be most helpful? We would love to hear about that. Community Action Academy, yes. There was a question, I think, about, is Community Action Academy free? Yes, it is. So it's a great thing for you to take advantage of. COVID resources, yes, whole family approach. All right. Everyone has Moodle. Introduction to Family-Centered Coaching. As we said, we do have the 101 if you're interested. Certainly if you can take that course and you want to learn about the advanced as well, we will have, you don't have to take it, but but we will have a webinar on that on March 17th, same time at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. All right. Very helpful. Great. Wonderful. Great feedback. Great feedback. Okay. Well, we're going to move on. But certainly still, put any information you have in the chat. That really does help us, to kind of ensure that we're disseminating information as well. So please keep putting information into the chat. So we have a few events that are coming up that we would love for you to save the date for. We have the Equity Summit, and that will occur in April. When we talk about equity, we are looking at equity in a broad sense. So racial equity, health equity, gender equity. So we are really excited to bring this. This is our first ever annual Equity Summit. So we hope that you will save the date and stay tuned. Our next event that is coming up in May, Health Intersections Convening on Adversity, Trauma, Resilience, and Early Childhood. That is save the date, Thursday, May 13th. So we are really excited about, we're going to talk about ACEs. So stay tuned for more information on our Health Intersections Convening on May 13th. All right. Well, we're going to get ready to enter into any questions and answers. We'll take a look at that. But we do want to make sure that you have all of our information. So this resource tour is certainly important because we want to show you how to access the resources. But also, if you have questions, if you need any additional assistance in getting to resources, this is our contact information. So we want to make sure that you have that as well. All right. I think I answered some of the questions about, is Community Action Academy free? That is correct. There was also a question about, any additional cohorts that, will we focus on an urban area versus a rural area? Some of these cohorts, we have funders that, specified specific areas. So that is why that went in that direction. But we certainly are open to hearing this feedback. It certainly helps us to know who all is interested. So if you are interested, that's great information for us to have. Let's see, any other questions? And I will ask my team if I missed any.
I might have missed you answering this, Lily, but we had a question about the mental health of children as they go back to school after COVID-19. Does the family-centered training address this transition?
The family-centered coaching, family-centered coaching course. I'm not going to say that it would necessarily say that, specific to that, but we certainly do have other resources that we can reach out to you certainly about that. It might be a component of that. And if I have a colleague that would like to speak to anything differently, I will certainly ask that they share that with us. But if you are interested, certainly email us and we can see about what additional resources and information that we can get to you on that. Any other questions?
And I'll just read from the chat from our colleague Tiffany that the FCC, the Family Centered Coaching course, does not direct COVID-19 specific trauma issues, but that we encourage you to attend our Health Intersections meeting, which will have a central focus on trauma or mental health.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
And so we do welcome your feedback. We will send this recording and the slides in a follow-up email, and it will be on our website. So we are open to feedback, and definitely keep a lookout for our e-news. And on our website, we have a calendar of events. So please keep a lookout, and we will be in touch about any of those upcoming events and resources as well.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you next week. Take care.